Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and it better not be good night for some of you. And here we are again for another installment of HFLE for all a week. And today we have again with us, we've got Kim and David. I'll let them tell you a little bit more about who they are and where they are attached.
Hi everyone, my name is Kim Jones. I am the Guidance Counselor of Combermere School, up and on.
Thank you, Kim. David?
Hello, I am Internship Coordinator and I assist guidance counselors with counseling of students at St. George Secondary. And all I would like to say is, go Lions.
And that was Mr. David Eversley, and I'm Donna Tull-Cox. I'm the Guidance Counselor at Graydon Sealy Secondary School, right there in Paddock Road. Hello, everyone. This program is an initiative of the Barbados Association of Guidance Counselors. And today we are going to be looking at assessments. Now, you've been online doing all kinds of learning, and the new norm is that more things are going to be going online. But how are you going to be taking tests online? That's what we're going to be looking at today. How are you going to be prepared for tests? What are some of the little things that you should know that will help you achieve much more success for tests? And also, how can you beat anxiety? Because regardless whether you're taking a test online or offline, a lot of us have some anxiety when looking at taking tests. So we're going to be dealing with that today. So let us start at the beginning. What are some of the kinds of tests that we can do online? And I will tell you there are many. Everything you can do offline, you will be expected to do online.
That is correct.
Everything.
That is correct.
Right? From multiple choice to essay type questions, to short answer questions,
True or false.
to things where you have to draw. Yes, we will be getting into drawing online in an assessment situation, to making graphs. Everything that you are tested on offline, with the exception, I believe, of PE, but I think they're working on that one.
They might be
too.
working on that. You might be right.
I think they're working on that one. Those things are all going to be tested online. So let me share right now some little nuances or little things that will help you understand some of the quirks of being in an online area to take testing. All right? So let us start with things like time. You know, when you're given time in an offline test, sometimes, although you know you only have half an hour or 45 minutes to do something, you may have an extra minute when the teacher is collecting your papers at the top of the class,
Yes.
and you're at the bottom. But guess what happens in online tests? If time is given, because it's a computer, as soon as that clock ticks the last second, that's it. It's closed.
That's right. That's right.
Closed out. So you have to practice bringing your speed up to the time that is allotted to you in an online test, right? Kim, you were talking about something else with respect to the pages.
Right. So what we were discussing also, there's some exams that you might get only one question on that page. Now, some of us are accustomed to having, let's say, 5, 6, 7 questions on a page that we can answer, let's say, for a multiple choice. You can go down, you can answer and look back at the questions. But there are some exams, some that I have actually been a part of, where you will only get 1 or 2 questions per page. Once you've answered those 2 questions and you've moved on to another set of questions, you cannot go back. So it calls for you to be very confident in your study practices, very confident in what you should know, and very confident in your answers. Now, that can be a little stressful. It really can be. But that actually does happen both locally, regionally, and internationally. So that is something you need to be aware of. So even before you do an online exam, you really should ask, what type of format is it? if it is multiple choice, is it multiple choice that is single question by page only, or will I be able to go back? Will more questions be on that page so that I can go through and look at it before I move on? Those are questions that need to be asked, and the more informed you are, the easier it will be to be more comfortable with the exam.
Exactly. Thank you, Kim.
Sure.
Especially when we're looking at exams that are online that are marked automatically by the computer itself. Sometimes, especially when you've got a lot of people doing an exam and it's multiple choice or even short answer, which we'll get to later on, the process has the marks coming out relatively soon, simply because they're all being marked automatically.
Yes.
But automatic marking comes with its own little quirks. And some of those quirks, you need to understand them, like Kim said, beforehand, so you know how to operate within that space. So timing was one of them. Time cuts off, and that's it. What you haven't done is not done. The whole aspect of the ability to change an answer. Should you decide, oh, you know something, I'm not quite sure that that was the right one. So if you want to go back to change an answer, which a lot of us can do, we've been saying all along, when you do your exam, read it back over. And you may find that, you know, you have a bit more clarity now, so you want to change it. That's not always possible in an online exam situation.
Absolutely.
Okay? So you make sure you get it and understand it the first time. The other thing is that for some exams, if it's a short answer exam or an essay type, they may be looking for a specific way of giving the answer. And it's very important that you understand this. Let us say, for example, the question is whatever, but the answer is at the bottom of the bed. In some exam answers, you need to put down in that order, at the bottom of the bed. If you put down
At the bed's
at
bottom.
the bed's bottom, right, at the bed's bottom, it may be marked wrong. If you don't start that at with a capital A, your answer may be marked wrong. If you say at the bottom of the bed and you don't put the period on the end of bed, that may be marked wrong. Because some exams are done where the answer is extremely sensitive and it must be exact. All right? So you need to find out from your teacher or whoever's setting the exam if the answers are supposed to be exact. All right? Now, there's some cases you would expect to have the answer as exact. If you're doing a vocabulary test
Yes.
or something like that. But sometimes the answer itself is exact. And if you change the letters around or you change the words around or you put in a comma where there's no comma, it may be marked wrong. So understand that. That's a quirk. All right? When we're looking at multiple choice exams, on a good day, multiple choice can be very tricky for a lot of us. A lot of us.
It's not easy.
One of the things that we were discussing as well was children following patterns. Remember that one,
Yes.
Kim?
Yep.
Right. If you would explain a little bit more about that one, it would be great.
When you have students, you know, we say, well, okay, well, we've had enough C's here, so we can probably put a D here, you know, or I raise that it's going A, B, D, E, so I'm going to put back D, E, B, A. The problem is that patterns can be very tricky, and patterns can mess you up. There's some exams that I invigilate where sometimes you have 5 A's in a row, and in your brain you're thinking that would not normally happen, and sometimes when that begins and you realize, you know, you've got 2 A's, 3 A's, you begin to second guess yourself as to whether you know, for this question number 4, A looks right, but I've already had 3 A's. Again, this is where knowing your work comes in handy. Knowing your work, having studied and being sure of what you have studied. Multiple choice, they always say that your first response is, your gut response is usually the best one. I don't know if that's right or wrong. What I know is that once you've studied and you know your work, there is no question. I always heard someone say as well, when it comes to multiple choice, don't look for the right answer. Look for the least wrong answer. Because you can get a multiple choice where you have A, B, C, D, E, and technically A, B, C, D, and E could all be right, but one of them sticks out more.
Yeah.
But again, you can only find the one that sticks out the most if you've studied and you know the work.
And piggybacking on that, what I will say is this too. When given choices, if you know your work, you should be able to right off the bat eliminate the ones that you know are
Correct.
wrong.
Absolutely.
So if there are 5 options and you could eliminate 2 or 3 of them, fantastic. Then it's just like that program, Do You Want to Be a Millionaire? Right?
You got a 50-50 chance.
You have a 50-50 chance. You can't call a friend though.
That's just true. You can't call, yeah.
No calling a friend, right? But and you can't pull the audience. But the thing is, the least amount of choices you have to choose from will work in your favor.
Absolutely.
And especially when you know the word. And while we are there are some key words that you should look out for in a lot of the multiple choice options. Anything that says all or none, record that. Only, not.
Yes, not.
Okay?
That's a big one.
That's a big one. So when you look for those words will also give you clues about which answers or which options you could eliminate and which ones you could keep, so that you don't waste too much time mulling over. And also, if you cannot go back, you might have to make a decision much faster so that you have the element of time on your side as opposed to against you. All right? So all of that said about exams, and also using, we don't have to worry about using the right kind of pencils for the online testing, but it is also very good to make sure that you still have something that you can jot down your own thoughts and ideas within the exam. It does 2 things. Number 1, it helps to keep you focused on what you're supposed to be doing. But number 2, it breaks the monotony of having your hands only on that keyboard the whole time, where you might be tempted to just hit something for the sake of hitting something, or where you might accidentally hit send before you have put in the answer that you want to put in, so that you don't send an empty response to the next page. All right? So always try and find a way where you are in control of how you're going to hit the letters and also hit that key that has enter or send. Right? So with all of that, we're going to now look at anxiety. How do we deal with test-taking anxiety? How do we get over it? And some people think that, it's easy taking an exam on a computer. It's going to be so much fun. And then they sit down in front of the computer and realize, oh my God, it's a test. Oops. Right? Oops. And they blank out.
Yeah.
So we're going to have David helping us with that. He's going to start the ball rolling. And how do we deal with some of this test anxiety that we will be facing, even with our online testing situations? David?
Well, as Kim was saying earlier, know your information. Revise, practice if possible. Know your information so that you just have that natural confidence that you're going into this examination, giving it the best that you can. One other thing too is in preparation as well, is preparing your body and preparing your mind. So you need to make sure that the night before you've slept well, and the morning before you've eaten a good breakfast, or if it's an afternoon examination, a good lunch, and wear comfortable clothing. Now the thing with a lot of this is that you don't want in the middle of the examination to be having any issues from not doing any of these. So you don't want to be sleepy and your brain is just tired because up until like 2 or 3 in the morning, you're still trying to stuff some information in there. You don't want your stomach to be doing all sorts of numbers because you're hungry, and you don't want to have clothing that is pulling or tugging, and then that has your mind in another place as opposed to fully focus on the examination. So those are some pointers that I would suggest.
Thank you, David. I want to add in there too about the eating. If you have an exam after lunch, you don't want to eat so much during that lunchtime that you suffer from, the syndrome, the itis, as we say it, right? All that macaroni pie and stuff like that. No. You want to have a light lunch because most of the time in the afternoon exam will start either at 12:30 or at 1 o'clock. And you'll be done by about maybe, 1:30, depending on when it starts, or 2, all right? You may have a little longer exam the older you are, but you do not want to go into an exam where you're going to fall asleep in the middle of it because your belly is just so full.
If I may also interject here, and this is done, we always see students doing this, even with the exams when we're at school, where some students mix up the morning exam with the evening exam. So they didn't realize that it was a morning exam and came evening. They didn't read their schedules properly. That still stands with these type of exams. Even though you're going to be online, check your schedule. And I always tell students they don't like to use their calendars. You program your cell phones for everything else. Put your schedule into your calendar. I like the word my grandmother used to use, find an almanac. For those who don't know what an almanac is, it's a good old calendar that you can hang on the wall. Write your schedule in. Check it, recheck it, double check it, triple check it. Because I always tell persons that the day of an exam, everything that can go wrong will go wrong.
Yep.
So prevention is better than cure. Check out everything, confirm what you need, what you don't need, where you need to be, where is the computer set up. Is the laptop charged, that if the electricity goes off, God forbid, can you still plug your data in and still use the phone with the laptop with the rest of the power that is left? Prepare for every eventuality because something could go wrong. I'll give a simple example. I had a friend of mine who was getting married and everything was on time, but the limo was stuck behind two cane trucks going back to the factory. A limo can't overtake 2 sugarcane trucks, so she was a bit late, but because she left by a certain time, she was not too late for the wedding. Not that they could have started without her, but she had her contingency plan in place. Always be prepared.
Yes, and I have to agree with that. When we're talking about exam preparation, we talk not only about your ability to know all your material, but to plan for things that could go wrong. All right? All the what ifs. And we're not telling you the what ifs to get you anxious.
No.
We're telling you the what ifs so that you can get prepared. All right? Many times the what ifs result in people who know their material very well getting so distracted that they draw a complete blank from the time the exam starts, or from the time they realize that there is a what if. You're good up until, boom, you're hearing flick, 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 the power goes out. And even when the generator kicks in, or even when your battery kicks in, you are still frazzled by that what if. And you can't think anymore.
Correct.
All right? Sometimes people are thrown off because they came in a little bit late. Sometimes people, and you can come in late sometimes to an online exam.
Absolutely.
But at the same time, if you are late for some online exams, you will not be able to gain entry.
Absolutely.
You can knock at the door, but the door not open for you because you were supposed to be there by a certain time. And the gatekeeper in cyberspace has no feelings. They don't care that it is you. So you have to understand that you may have to make other arrangements. Remember, when your teacher interacts with your exam, your teacher can use their humanness and say, well, I think they mean this, or I think they mean that. But the computer just says, they haven't said this, therefore, whatever they said is wrong. And that is what you have to be prepared for and know how to maneuver in these areas. So let's say something happens and you do get that anxiety building up in the exam where it wasn't there before. You may come across a question that has you stumped because you weren't prepared for that. Something may have happened in the room that you weren't prepared for. What can you do? All of a sudden you start feeling the things of anxiety. Your heart may start to race. Your hands may get sweaty. You may get a headache. You may feel a little queasy. You may feel a little nauseous. You're having a hard time breathing. These are different ways that your anxiety may show itself. And then you look at the page, and it's like if you're reading Chinese. You can't figure out anything on that page anymore. So you know that you're over the hill when it comes to anxiety. So David talked about things that you can do before the exam, but let's look at some things you can do during the exam to combat that. All right? I'll start the ball rolling. You want me to start?
Sure.
Sure, go
All
ahead.
right, okay, I'll give you a good one. It's good if you can sit on the chair and tense up all your muscles, get tight, 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 and then release it. So that way, you've done maybe 3 or 4 times. And that way, you can get control over your body again so that you are able to get the blood flowing and be able to feel more like yourself again. Completely tense up and release. Completely tense up and release. Completely tense up and relax. When you relax, you have a better way of then dealing with the problem that's in front of you. All right? Kim, you want one or you want to take to David?
Straight to David.
Thank you, Kim. Okay, basically what the principle you're working with is that your body's gearing up, so you want to slow your body down. Yes. So as Donna rightly said, about tensing and relaxing, tensing, relaxing, that rhythm that you're doing that's slowing your body down. Another thing you can do to slow your body down as well is breathing. And this is very easy, very simple. You just take a breath in through your nose. You can hold it, because if you take it in, you don't hold it, then your body is already moving very quickly, at least the internals in your body, and you're breathing quickly. If you breathe in, hold it, and then breathe out slowly through your mouth. Almost you could feel the wind flowing through your mouth. And do that for about 5 to 10 times. Then that could also assist in slowing your body down. Because remember what happens is that when your body is geared up like that, you're sort of in a fight or flight response. And the area of your brain that's responsible for reasoning and the rational stuff, the blood flow in that area isn't as much as it should be. It goes to the rest of your body, so you can fight or flight. So with the breathing and the tensing and relaxing your muscles, you're basically reversing that whole process and slowing your body down, so your brain can work as it should.
Fantastic. Very, very, very good. I always tell people about that fight or flight response and how anxiety is another way that that's brought on, right? Thank you very much for sharing, David. Kim, you ready for one now?
I'm here just breathing the way he told me to breathe. And I must admit it's working. I'm very relaxed.
I love it. I love it. I love it.
But no, but it's true. And remind yourself, I studied for this. I know this. I've got this. And just keep repeating that to yourself as you're breathing. I studied for this. I know this. I've got this. Sometimes you just need to give yourself a little pep talk, even if it's just for 10 seconds. You'd be amazed what it can do. So breathe in and know you've got this. Yep. This is not your first exam. It's not your second exam. It's surely not your third exam. It's just an exam in a different format. Come on, you've got this.
Yep.
Yes. I love that too. Yes, you do have this. You got this.
Yeah.
And at this time, we got no more time. So I'm going to give you your challenge now. You got this. All right? I want you to think about one of the last times you did have a test, whether it was online or offline, and remember where you got stuck. All right? Remember where you got stuck. And I want you to practice the deep breathing. I want you to practice the whole tensing and releasing your body, the relaxation. And I want you to practice telling yourself, I got this. I got this. I got this. All right? It's a personal challenge. You don't have to put it up. But I want you to practice that because at some point in time, really soon, you will have an online assessment. And those will come in very, very, very handy. All right? So I hope that you've got a lot to take away from this session today. And even your parents and teachers out there, help them to understand that not only do they have it, you got this too.
Yep.
Right? Give them that encouragement. Right? So once again, that was HFLE for
All
the
the
way.
way.
And we're so glad you were able to be with us. Stay safe. See you soon. Bye.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.